You're listening to Three's a Crowd, the North East Footy podcast, with Rye for Borough, Steve for Newcastle United, and Ted for Sunderland.
Good morning, everybody. Said good morning, everyone. Welcome to Three's a Crowd podcast. Rye is back. That's right, Rye is back. The man in the middle, the man who sits between two... Please contain yourselves. Contain yourselves. I know. We've started off this year with a bang. You've put the young, good-looking one in between two old wise men. I'm sure there's a story about that somewhere in the scriptures. Teddy Boy and Steve Wraith and Rye here for your Saturday with Three's a Crowd. We talk Newcastle, Middlesbrough and Sunderland every weekend, the only North East football show podcast. It's a big good morning to you, Teddy Mackams.
Steve, who's the new kid?
He put his let's face it, he put his letter in and his letter's accepted because he didn't tell us he wasn't going to make it, but he had a hospital appointment with regards, Mick. And we send our best wishes to Rye's dad, who is recovering from another bout.
We do, because we like Mick more, really, don't we?
I feel like we didn't need to get the goat on the show over the years, didn't you? You know what I mean? And the whole responses.
And happy birthday to Roger Cook in the chat as well, who's a regular on NUFC Matters.
Happy birthday, Cookie. And
may as well do the same for Habib Diarra as well, who's 22 today.
Who?
Record signing, Habib Diarra.
I'm just following on from Pep Guardiola when Luke O'Neill was mentioned, and he went, who?
Yes.
Good morning to you, Steve. Obviously, Steve is not on camera. He's not in his usual location, but we have got Stevie Wraith with us with the voice of an angel.
Good morning. Yes, all good. Players coming back from injury, and Newcastle back on the winning streak, and Carabao Cup semi-finals on the horizon, and potentially places in the Champions League as well. So it's not all doom and gloom from the black and white persuasion this morning.
I'm glad it isn't, because at the moment Middlesbrough don't look like scoring until next year, even though we've just hit into 2026. But that's news for another day, because we have got so much to talk about, so much to catch up on. And of course, we appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. And if you could like and subscribe to each of the channels at NUFC Matters, at Inrictus, or at Teddy Mackams, or you can be right here every weekend where we do this beautiful podcast. Let's start it off by looking backwards before we look forwards. We've got a little bit to go back in, and we'll start it off with Teddy Mackham, because you had the first. Should we say it, Steve? I mean, you haven't played anyone yet. Do you know what I mean? You haven't really played anyone yet in the Premier League, and then you first Man City. You know what I mean? And it's you finally come up against
the way
a team
I'm putting it now. We haven't played everyone yet. That's. There's only Spurs to go, and that's tomorrow. So then we've played everyone, and then I think we can safely say it's not a fluke.
A busy Christmas period, more so in the Championship than the Premier League, because they had Boxing Day off. But Sunderland obviously drawing 0-0 with Man City at home. Teddy Boy, it was actually a pretty good game. I watched the game. I'd listened to Rob Law, who was a good friend of mine. His commentary on the match as well. I thought, even though it was a 0-0, it looked to be a ball draw if you're looking from the outside in. But I honestly thought it was quite exciting. Both teams having great chances. Xhaka, though, mate. I mean, that guy has got to go down as player of the season, if not signing of the season. I mean, he's just incredible.
Do you know what? It's going to be a really, really close-drawn affair for the Player of the Year award at Sunderland Football Club at the end of the season. Because right now, Xhaka, yes, I think he's probably a couple of streets ahead, but a true captain's performance without a shadow of a doubt. The way he brings such a level of calm, which he's not known for, he's probably known more for his fiery side on the pitch, but bearing in mind, this guy's been on 4 yellow cards now for something like 4 or 5 weeks, and still manages to put his foot in, but be so professional and so patient about his play, and testament to the guy. But if you look at that performance against Man City, you could go right through that team and go, absolute monsters, the lot of them, absolute monsters. Starting with Mukiele, who, I mean, there's a confused Viking spinning around in his washing machine because there's no way he got out of his back pocket. He was absolutely tremendous against Haaland. Physical, he got to everything. Obviously, the long throws, the thing. He's actually a very good footballer. For a defender, he's a very good footballer. Then Alderete, who just oozes class for a centre-back. He's so smart and so savvy. You know, he's got a little bit of a trick in him as well, just to catch the strikers out and make them, you know, the old adage goes that if defenders were any good, they'd be forwards. Well, he's kind of an exception to the rule of that. Right throughout the team, the one who I was most pleased for was Dennis Serkin, because obviously against Leeds, his first game in the Premier League, he was given the runaround a little bit, let's be honest. It was a tough afternoon for him. But you know, against one of the elite clubs in the world, Serkin more than held his own. And I was really impressed with, especially against Cherki, who, for me, if he's not in and around player of the season for the Premier League, I'll be very, very surprised, because he's a tremendous talent. I just thought right throughout the side, Mayenda coming in as well, which was quite a surprise selection, but he brought an element of physicality to the game, and you know, not just going forward, he was a menace for their back four, absolutely. But he did the dirty stuff, and he got back and he defended. And then the keeper, Roofs, who we've just got to throw money at whatever contract he wants. Yeah. Because he's brought so much confidence to that side. For 10 million, it's just ridiculous money, what we've been able to get there. So the game itself, you're right. It didn't play out like a 0-0 draw. It had plenty of action. It did. I thought it was. It had punch. It had bite in midfield. Yeah. There was challenges going in. The only thing that ruined it for me, and to be honest, I will be honest. I'll be very succinct in this. Jared Gillette needs investigating.
Oh, best referee, isn't he? Australian.
He was absolutely disgraceful, and I mean, it was. There's quite a few people said this, and I know Steve will back me on this. There's referees, then there's referees for the top six.
Yes, 100%.
And Gillette is a referee for the top six.
He's the best man can get.
Well, yeah. If you're a Man City fan, yeah, he was horrendous. Honestly, like I thought we'd left that level of crap refereeing back in the Championship and in League One. It wasn't even crap refereeing. It was to the point where it was suspicious. Some of the decisions that were being given against and you know, just the ones we weren't getting was absolutely frightening. I honestly hope he never referees another Sunderland game again. And he hasn't got the best of reputations as it stands. I thought he was horrendous, absolutely horrendous from start to finish. Thankfully, the players got on with it, and the players on both sides give us a great game. Doku, oh my God, I could watch him for hours, absolutely hours. But yeah, other than that, referee aside, fantastic performance. 7 first-team players missing from that squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing it with the team that's essentially got you promoted. You know, that's a lot of them involved in that. A couple of young lads on the bench as well. All right, it's not a win, but a 0-0 draw with that amount of players missing against one of the world's elite, more than happy with that. A great return over the festive period, I think.
Well, it's actually funny you should mention Jared, because it's a big surprise guest to Jared Gillette, who's joining us. Good morning, Jared.
The best a man can get.
We'll have to get him on. He absolutely loves the Maccas, doesn't he? For those that don't remember, Borough fans, Jared Gillette was the player that, was the referee that also sent Dan Neal off.
No, it was a player for Middlesbrough, yeah.
for dissent back in that 4-0 victory that Jared helped us with, I must say. But incredible. Obviously, the refereeing for Middlesbrough, we're going to get into that as well. I think the refereeing up and down the countryside has been questionable over late, and the VAR is just not doing doing any favors either.
Nah,
But Teddy boy,
I thought that Leeds game against Sunderland. I thought that was like a championship game. Standard referee, and I thought it was terrible. There was almost assault happening on both sides. People taking people out at knee level, and just not even a yellow card. Absolutely ludicrous. But yeah, I mean, we're used to this corrupt refereeing in the Premier League as Newcastle fans. We've seen it time and time again. And I point out as well, the fixture list as well. This is one which I'll chuck in because I might not get a chance to chuck it in, but it's of the same. It's of the same kind of ilk. But look back at the Christmas fixtures. Arsenal, 2 home games. Chelsea, 2 home games. Liverpool, 2 home games. Man United, 2 home games. West Ham, 2 home games. Spurs, 2 away London derbies. Palace, 2 London derbies. Fulham, 2 London derbies. Newcastle United, 2 games away from home. Man City, 2 games away from home. Aston Villa, 2 games away from home. Sunderland also got 2 home games, of course, but I wouldn't put it at Sunderland's door. I'm just trying to point out the fact that the corruption, the cartel have all had 2 home games, whilst Newcastle have had to travel on the road and Villa have as well. It's just a joke.
It is incredible when you look at the fixture list, and money talks, doesn't it? At the end of the day, and it still does. And I think we see it, and we were talking about this off stream, and I think we spoke about it the past couple of weeks ago as well. The prices for World Cup tickets. I mean, for an English fan, even an Australian fan, to go over to America in the upcoming World Cup, you're talking thousands of pounds for a ticket. You know what I mean? It's incredible. And then you see this, with the television, the fixtures of what's going to be best for TV, because it's the festive season. It's the best time to get the ratings and get the viewers in and stuff like that. And it is horrid. And we have known about that. And I remember it back in 2016-17 when Middlesbrough were in the Premier League and having the most shocking run over Christmas. And we were playing, I think we played Man United and Chelsea back then over the Christmas period, both away from home. And it's just, it's just crazy. It is crazy. But we'll just quickly talk about that one, Sunderland, while we got you, Teddy boy, as well, with Leeds United. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is actually getting shouts for England call-ups now, such as his form. Rare form, you must say, at Leeds United. But Leeds United under Daniel Farke, obviously I'm still quite familiar with Leeds United, obviously coming up with you last season. Daniel Farke's type of football, it doesn't beat around the bush, does it? I mean, he kind of tells them to go straight through them. And I think there should have been a red or 2 in that game, obviously finishing a 1-1 draw. But it does, I think, the taking 2 points from the past 2 games, it just helps you creep towards that ever-elusive 40 points.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. The one just going back on what Steve said as well, just regarding the fixtures, by the way. 8 o'clock kickoff on New Year's Day with no public transport. Seriously?
Yeah.
That's just absolutely shafting the fans.
Yeah.
Absolutely
like
shafting them.
Boxing Day, 8 o'clock, no transport.
Yeah.
Away from home.
It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And then they won't give many Boxing Day games for the rest of us. So it's obviously Steve was lucky to see his side play on there. But well, you've seen me rant on that anyway. We'll move on. But yeah, mate, the 2 points, honestly, because of this, the shape the squad's in, and we knew it was coming. We knew AFCON was coming, and all right, I think a lot of certainly them up the road have been saying, "Oh, wait till AFCON, the bubble will burst," and all that kind of thing. Yeah, and to be honest, Sunderland fans were nervous about it as well, and rightly so. To take certainly 6, I won't say 7. Arthur Masuaku looks to all intents and purposes like he'd be leaving the club in January anyway. Yeah. But he's never had a look in on the first team really, or not really kind of earned it. But to have 6 first teamers going out there, Sunderland fans were understandably very nervous about that. What I will say is that they took their opportunities, the lads who've come in, and just give steady performances. I mean, I'm not saying the performance against Man City was steady. It was absolutely incredible defensively. But against Leeds, we did what we needed to do. I'm sure Leeds, in the form that they were in, were coming to the stadium, and I think, and we can be the first ones to beat them there this season. And to be honest, I mean, they threw everything at us in the second half. It was a real kitchen sink job. But again, resolute defending, and that puts us in good stead. And again, as Mr. Wraith, I'm using a lot of Wraithisms today. That I've got to be very careful how I say that. But if you're not going to win, then don't get beat. And I think right now, at this moment in time, that's the best this squad can do, because we haven't got a massive squad.
You've got credit in the bank. You've got credit in the bank with the points that you've picked up early doors. I mean, Sunderland won't go down this season. There is going to be a bump in the road at some point, I think. But at the end of the day, I expected it to be now, when you were missing your players from AFCON. But credit to Lebris and his coaching staff. He seems to be getting the best out of those players. His squad management at the moment is excellent. Your drawn games, you're not getting beat. The problem was, the last time you were in the Premier League, you were drawn too many games full stop, and then you ended up getting beat and going down and getting relegated. But I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's a great season for Sunderland so far, but it's a funny Premier League. It's a weird Premier League. Newcastle, if you didn't go to any of the games and watch any of the games, and you just watched social media and you didn't get a chance to see any of the games, you'd think Newcastle were in a relegation season this season. And you think we're out of all the cups. We're actually, even though we haven't been playing well, look at where we are. Two wins this week. Results go our way, we're right back in them European places again. So it's a weird season, but it's a great season for Sunderland to be in the top flight. And look at the other teams, the ones who we all had written off. Leeds United, unbeaten run, 7-8 games in a row now. It's not an easy game. Burnley, we went to Burnley the other night. Great game of football against a team that's difficult to break down. At home, we scored 3 goals past them. So it's weird season, lads. Weird season, but entertaining season.
Yeah, apart from Wolverhampton, which, all the other teams seem to have a chance. I mean, Burnley, West Ham, even Nottingham Forest, these teams have, in the past couple of seasons, Nottingham Forest were pushing for Europe. West Ham United, under David Moyes, had European football, both languishing down in 17th and 18th. And, Newcastle find themselves in the middle of Tottenham Hotspur and Brighton Hove, which you would think over the past couple of seasons would be right up there. But it's incredible. And Sunderland's obviously sitting in 7th, just behind Manchester United. Manchester United, if you're looking outside in, under Amaron, suck. But, they're sitting 1 point, above Sunderland. So it is a weird season. We've just seen Chelsea sack their manager, Maresca, as well. So they're going to have a change in manager, much like the change of their 613 players they've got on the books.
Who's the favourite, Rye?
It's Liam Rosenois.
I really am pleased this has come up, because as soon as I saw he was linked with a job, anyone who didn't tune into the radio show when we used to do this on radio wouldn't know about this. But honestly, this pronunciation of this surname has haunted Rye for years. Let's hope he gets the job.
Oh, he used to be in the Championship. He used to manage Hull, for those that don't remember. And when he was at Hull City, I literally could not pronounce his last name. And Ted used to text me he would abbreviate it for me. And I ended up just calling him Liam.
The syllables for him. Raw.
It was shocking.
Neo.
We will look forward, obviously, after the troll of the week. But that is obviously looking back at Sunderland. Sunderland are seemingly still picking up points, even though they've got 7 players out at AFCON. And we now are in January as well, lads. We're going to talk about that as well. It is the transfer window. We're going to see what you both think you need when it comes push to shove. Let's look on to Newcastle United. They've had a busy fixture period, over the festive season. Man United obviously away, and then that big win away from Newcastle, 2 away games. Stevie Wraith. Man United obviously on Boxing Day, mate. The only fixture that we saw in the Premier League on that day. Can you believe it? Man United obviously the victors in that one, 1-0. Which I think came as a surprise. I would have put money on Newcastle obviously winning that one, but a good showing against Burnley. And then leading into a massive week this week, mate, with the 2 home games. But back-to-back away games over the festive period, as you were talking about, a bit rough on the travelling support, mate.
You know what? It's been a funny old Christmas. It started with the defeat at Sunderland. Let's make no bones about it. That was the big game for Newcastle fans going into December, and to lose the derby in a horrible derby in such a bizarre way. That really started our festive season off with a load of doom and gloom. Yeah. Even though the next game, you know, you had that opportunity to put it right, which was Fulham in the quarterfinals of the cup, and we did. We won 2-1. Let's not forget, we got into the semi-finals of the cup. We then got hit with injuries. We went into the Chelsea game thinking, you know, we're gonna get tanked here because Chelsea were on a high. We go into it, we roar into a 2-0 lead, but then the old frailties came about with the back four that we had to put out, and we drew 2-2. But you would have took a point before the game with Chelsea in fine form and Newcastle misfiring. We then go to Man United on Boxing Day, which we've already said was a ludicrous kick-off time. You know, it's so difficult for supporters to get there, but we still managed to have our usual 3,000 away fans there to celebrate what should have been an easy victory. And we lose a game bizarrely 1-0 when statistically we had the better of the game. It was absolutely mental. So the Burnley game, you know, at the end of the year couldn't have come quick enough in terms of form. We go to Burnley. I was down at Burnley, and Newcastle roar into a 2-0 lead again. And of course, the problem is it's that kind of that optimism you can get as a supporter. There's also the defeatism you can get as a supporter. And as soon as Gordon didn't track back, he was flying up the wing. He had a part to play in both the goals, but then he doesn't track back. And I've got to be honest, I wasn't shouting and bawling at him, but I was saying to me mates, I was standing talking to me mates, I'm going, look at him, what a lazy get. He's not getting back again. He's not getting back. That's going to bite us on the backside. And as soon as those words had left my mouth, Gordon's left his man. Burnley have a chance at the back post, and they slotted past Nick Pope, and suddenly it's 2-1. And from that moment, Burnley were back in the game, and Newcastle were really, really struggling. Not really struggling in the game to make an impression, because it became an entertaining game. They were going backwards and forwards. When I say entertaining, it was entertaining for the neutral. For a Newcastle fan who was thinking about the defeat at Man United when we should have won, the being 2-0 up against Chelsea and drawn 2-2, the defeat at Sunderland, the game going back to the start of December against Bayer Leverkusen in the in the Champions League. Another 2, but going up again and then drawn 2-2. It's going to be the same again. We're going to drop a clanger here, and the season's going to continue. But credit to the lads, they didn't drop a clanger. They defended. I've got to say, Nick Pope being back in goal was a blessing, because he really did save Newcastle on a couple of occasions. But Newcastle hit the right targets as well up front. They had 21 shots, and Jules has put an onslaught in the chat. Lee Ryder, I think, just picked the wrong word at his press conference yesterday. He riled Eddie by saying it was an onslaught. It wasn't an onslaught. It was a fairly even game. Newcastle did have the better chances, and Newcastle were, at the end of the day, were winners. We won 3-1. Only the second away win in the Premier League this season, but a comfortable away win at the end. So for me, it ended the year on a high. It ended the year that Newcastle United fans will remember for the rest of their lives. Those who were there, and those who were born in the future will look through the history books and see 2025 as the year that Newcastle United won their first trophy in 70 years. They'll also look at that, if they look statistically at it, and this is a great stat. That's the biggest amount of wins Newcastle have had in a calendar year since 1995 under Kevin Keegan. Newcastle won 29 games in 2025. That's a hell of an achievement, and that's been almost brushed over and swept under the carpet. So for me, I look at it as Eddie does. I look at it as a great year. One of our best years, and one of my best years as a Newcastle United supporter. And we owe Eddie Howe massively for that. We need to thank Eddie Howe for that, and the players. At the moment, some supporters aren't supporting. They're spending more time criticising and picking and moaning and groaning than they are giving Eddie the credit that he deserves. And I think Eddie will turn this around this season. He's done it before, and he'll do it again. And I think the lads will have the bit between their teeth. And I do genuinely think, coming into the new year as we are now, Newcastle are capable of being that team that goes on that run that gets them back in amongst the runners and riders. And my prediction at the start of the season was Newcastle United to finish 5th and win the FA Cup final. And my prediction still stands. I think Newcastle are more than capable of finishing 5th. And I think we just need that little bit of luck with injuries. And we need the rebalance of the VAR decisions that have gone against us over the course of the last couple of months, because we've had a few. Newcastle fans would be, forgiven to think that we're playing the Harlem Globetrotters every week, the amount of handballs that haven't been given against us. But for me, genuinely speaking, I think the worm turned. And I think the worm turned at Burnley. I think the worm turned at Man United, actually. I think the worm turned at Man United because Newcastle on the road have been awful. And I know I've been on most of those games. But genuinely speaking, at Man United, I think the worm turned. And I think Newcastle United now have got the bit between their teeth. And I think the return of Tino Livramento, Sven Botman and Kieran Trippier is a huge plus to us in 2026. I agree as well with Eddie Howe's assessment yesterday that from his perspective, he genuinely feels that January is a pivotal month in our season. And it is. We've got 2 Champions League games. We've got 2 Carabao Cup. We've got a Carabao Cup semi-final. We've got the Premier League, of course, and we've got the FA Cup. By the end of January, we'll know where Newcastle United are aiming for at the end of the season. But lots to be excited about for me,
especially
from a black and white persuasion.
At the end of the month, obviously, PSG away, which is not one to be shied against. I mean, that's going to be massive for those that are travelling as well. One to look forward to. On to Middlesbrough before we quickly roll into Troll of the Week. And then obviously we'll be looking forward and getting the thoughts of everyone's what each team needs for the transfers. Middlesbrough have had, unfortunately, a bit of a horrid run over Christmas, as much as dismay to Middlesbrough fans. Obviously, Kim Hellberg coming in as the new manager. He wins 4 games in his first 4, and now he's lost the last 4. I do apologise. He did draw one of them, but the read of the script is this, that they've had 80 shots in the last 4 games, but only 14 of those were on target and 0 goals in the last 4 games. Recent displays and results and the options available highlight how badly we need to strengthen this month. Obviously, Callum Britton, the latest to join the injury list as well for Middlesbrough. It's been bare bones down back. We've seen Matty Targett, who is on loan from Newcastle United, filling in at left back, centre back, goalkeeper. The bloke could play, linesman if he needs to, because we're just that short when we play at the Riverside. And then Middlesbrough obviously having to use players like Alan Brown as centre attacking mids and then dropping them back into right wing backs and stuff like this. It is really bare bones for Middlesbrough at the moment. But the damning stat for me when it comes to Middlesbrough at the moment is the 80 shots in the last 4 for only 14 on target. Lads, we cannot hit a barn door with the backs. It is honestly absolutely horrid watching Middlesbrough go forward at the moment. And it's a frustrating one because we saw such fluidity and such exciting football when Kim Hellberg came in. Obviously, the snake going over to Wolves, and then we had to appoint a new manager. We got this Kim Hellberg from Sweden. He was young, he was fresh, he was exciting, the way he wanted to play. And I think it was unfortunately coupled by some very, very bad injuries to certain members of the squad. Riley McGree, obviously a key one there. David Strelic, one of our strikers. I mean, we've gone down to really bare bones on the bench. We've been giving, debuts on the bench to 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds because we're just that bare bones. And I think January, lads, for us has been something that we've now, over the past 4 games, kind of been crawling towards because now we have the ability to strengthen, and I think we really do need to strengthen. I look at Sunderland's, and I speak about this a lot on the watch-alongs of Sunderland's January window, and we saw like the signings of Enzo Laffi, which I thought was just a massive statement at championship level for where they were at. And look what Enzo Laffi's gone on. This is a time now for Middlesbrough, who are sitting 2nd/3, to go and make some statement signings in January that can show that we are get ready to come up to the Premier League if, we obviously turn results around. Coventry have just gone and signed Joel Perreault from Leeds United. They've also gone and got Romain Esse from, which is massive signings for Coventry City at championship level. Middlesbrough can do the same. I mean, we look, and I look at the 2 lads to my left and right from Middlesbrough. William Asula, potentially going out on loan from Newcastle. They said they won't sell him, but now that they've got a fit Wissa, they've got Walter Mata as well. Could Asula be a chance to drop down to championship level and come down the road and help Middlesbrough out? I look at Teddy Mackems, and obviously they've got the AFCON players away at the moment needing them, but there are so many other players at championship level that Sunderland, would love to see getting some game time. So I think there's it's a massive, massive month for Middlesbrough. I'm not sure. And I'll ask you guys this after the break, obviously, as well, on how important you guys feel January transfer window is for your, obviously, Newcastle and Sunderland, respectively. But it is massive for Middlesbrough. We have been falling away for the past 4 games, and we just cannot score. It is absolutely frustrating. Middlesbrough, obviously, unfortunately, losing 1-0 to Derby County. We also had the home game at Hull City over the festive period. We lost that 1-0, and that was coming off the back of a quick run of Bristol City beating us 2-0 away from home and us drawing with Blackburn 0-0. But, to go from, in the space of, on the 6th of December, lads, we went down to Hull City, we won 4-1, to then replay, quickly, turn around, Tuesday the 30th of December at our home pitch against Hull City to lose it then 1-0. I mean, it just shows you in the space of, how funny football can be in the space of not even a month. And Middlesbrough registering 80 shots with 14 on target. It's just absolutely blinding. Dominic Shaw, obviously the reporter, talking to Kim Helberg, he said, football is being cruel to Borough, and it's being very, very cruel. And he'll look at the bigger picture of what he comes today. And Adelson Melander, our new French centre-back, who missed the clearance on deadline day, for some unknown reason, but the paperwork is in. He should be able to feature. But we will look forward because we now need to sit back. We need to have a laugh. We need to raise our glass because it's time for Troll of the Week.
Okay, we'll start with a couple of these. Breaking news, British man killed by shark whilst honeymooning in Australia. Reports say he didn't suffer for too long as he'd only been married 5 days. Don't tell your lass that, right?
No.
And there's a new guy at work named Wayne Bruce. And I said, man bat, my old nemesis. Nobody got it. My talents are wasted here. And football away days. A lot of people laughed at this Sunderland fan back in July, but it's starting to look like he will have the last laugh now. Sunderland to finish in the top 10, 25-26 season, £1,000 at 25-1, lads.
Oh, dear me.
That's good a payday and a half, isn't it?
Good luck to him. McAllister playing water polo when it was a game of football. No wonder they lost. And Newcastle versus Nottingham Forest here, Sunday, 2:00 live on Sky Sports. Dear me, get it right, wow. Sky, for God's sake. And
it's the Great North Run.
Time zones are the weirdest thing, says this Liverpool fan. Yep. For Australians, it's 2026. For Americans, it's 2025. And for Manchester United fans, it's still 2008. If you can't get a ticket for a match, what do? Book an Airbnb like the Wimbledon fans did.
Quality.
Brilliant. Great stuff, that. Richard Keys, obviously a fan of Newcastle United, also a fan of Chelsea. If I'm a Chelsea fan, I want to give John Terry a go. He's a Chelsea man to the core, has served time elsewhere, and there's no reason he can't do what Lampard is doing at Coventry with better tools. What a tool that guy is. What a tool. Not very often I give credit to Sunderland, but I did watch this, quite an emotional thing. I've berated Newcastle for not paying tribute to past players and players that they've lost, but I love this at Sunderland the other day. They encouraged fans to bring photos of their loved ones or ex-players to hold up while they did a tribute at the end of the year to fans that were lost. That was very emotional. You can see lots of people have chosen to do it as well, and we'll credit the Sunderland Football Club for doing that just at the end of the year. This Norwich fan was clearly happy with his side's win at the weekend, sitting on the tube. His dad's photographed him doing the old sign on the tube. That is brilliant, lad. That's what football's all about. Long journey back. I bet he enjoyed that. Great stuff. And this was a bit of history, lads. This used to be the old entrance to the Vetch ground at Swansea.
Oh my gosh.
I've been through some weird turnstiles in my time. Grimsby springs to mind. But Swansea City, that was brilliant. That in between two terraced houses. The memories come flooding back. Excellent stuff. That's actually Stewards on the door. This is bang out of order as well. The young fan from the viral photo at the Hibs Hearts game. He's been arrested and charged for pitch invasion. And I agree with what the football tweet says. What looked like a supporter swept up in the moment could now be left with a criminal record and a lengthy football ban, a response that feels ridiculously harsh given the circumstances. Listen, I hate it. I've slammed Sunderland fans for doing it in derbies over the years. It's wrong. You shouldn't be jumping on the side of the pitch in numbers and doing it. You know what? That was such an emotional goal for them lads. And you know what? It's instinct. And yes, he's wearing the badge and he's jumping on the pitch, and it's wrong. But you know what? Show a little bit of decency for the kid. Even if he's going to get a ban, let's try and be sensible. Whoever the magistrate is or judge on that situation.
Yeah.
Football food. I do like to pay tribute to it when we do this, lads. Christmas is gone, but this was sent to us. Look at that, man. Pigs in blankets with a bit of stuff and some chips. Football clubs are starting to get a little bit
gravy over the top as well. That's lovely.
That is grand.
That was Leeds United, lads. So credit to Leeds for Leeds doing that.
Oh, they used to do good stuff in there.
Yay! Lads, they do get a lot wrong, but they got something right there. I've got a little quiz for you, lads.
Oh.
What is this? Anybody in the chat?
Oh, I reckon.
Oh, I think Ted's got this just by listening to his voice.
I think it's Luton Town away.
It's yeah, I think it is. I think it's that pathway leading to the stand, isn't it?
Well, I'm going to give you half a point, lads. These are the surviving remnants of the terraces from Arsenal's Invicta ground, which was there from 1890 to 1893.
Oh, wow.
Imagine having a bit of history in your back garden like that.
Jeez.
Amazing. But yeah, well done. Arsenal, well done, Paul Charlton. He's obviously been on the same website as me. But yeah, I think that's incredible, that. I love that picture. So yeah, thanks for putting my attentions towards that. David James, he said, although a bit excessive on the steward headcount at Pride Park, this is how segregation should be done. 2 seats wide. Unlike at the Riverside with the humongous gaps, it always looks crap when you see pictures of away fans at the Riverside. So, yeah, that was the recent game between Middlesbrough and Derby. Christ almighty, I mean, there is a hell of a lot of yellow there, like, isn't there? Ban these, by the way. This is another photo I've seen.
Get out.
Will you stop it now with these stupid
this is a family channel, man. Come on, we'll get taken off again.
It's ridiculous. And if you think you've had a bad start the new year, think about these Coventry fans who dropped the van key down the drain just before they were about to leave for Charlton the other day. Oh, what a bloody
no. To a nicer set of fans.
Good old Jimmy Hills, still winding Ted up even to this day. And don't forget, if the football's crap, the darts is on the night. So if you just want to rest it on your mate's neck and watch it. Yeah, that was the Brentford Spurs game, by the way. Wow.
I understand them. Yeah.
We're finished with this one. Football. Gary Lineker went through his entire career without receiving a booking. Paul Rapid Johnson said, so did me father. Lovely fella, but a shit DJ. That is your choice for the week this week. Send any suggestions to our socials and we'll feature them next week.
That's incorrect about Gary Lineker, mind. That's incorrect. He did actually pick up a booking. He picked up a booking right at the very end of his career, and I think it was a referee that wanted to make a name for himself. He moved to Japan and played for Grampus 8, and he did actually pick up a yellow card over there.
Oh, what's the fact breaking out here for the new year? Tell you that should have been.
We haven't done one of them for ages, have we?
We need to bring that back.
I need to pull my finger out and do one. I'll do it.
2026, but yeah, there you go. That Gary Lineker. Get him on the show as well. We'll have to talk about that. Welcome back to Three's a Crowd, the only Northeast football show podcast where we talk Newcastle, Middlesbrough and Sunderland every Saturday or Sunday here, right here on YouTube. You can follow us at Inrictus, at NUFC Manners, or at Ted the Mackham for your respective club. We have got a lot to talk about. We talk 3 teams that are normally rivals, bitter rivals, but we have a bit of banter, a bit of laugh, and we look forward and make sure that football is the big winner. We're going to look forward now for the games coming up in the next week. But before we do, lads, it's January. Can you believe it? January 2026 is upon us, and I want to get a signing and from you guys in the comments as well. I want to hear a signing that you need to make and someone that you need to see leave. Now, I'm going to go to you, Teddy boy. I'll give you a little bit of time to think about this, but I want you to name a Sunderland player that needs to leave in January, and I want you to talk to me about your number one target if you were the recruitment staff. Same to you, Stephen. I'll come to you in a little bit. I'll start things off at Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough need a striker. We need a striker so desperately bad in this January transfer window. We've seen the Addison Malander added because he was obviously signed in the summer. He was then loaned back to the MLS. He is now available to play, but we need a striker, and it needs to be someone that's proven at championship level, if not getting a game at Premier League. We saw Joel Perreault. That name was thrown around. He's now gone to Coventry. I'm looking at the likes of Willie Masula at Newcastle. I'm looking at types of players around that caliber that are proven decent, good goal scorers, but are locally based and are in England right now in the system, because we cannot bring someone in from the foreign market and risk seeing them trying to adapt to championship football in the hectic scheduling and everything that we've got coming forward. So Middlesbrough desperately need a striker, and it needs to be someone of the English caliber that knows the system, knows the league, and knows what it takes to get the ball into the back of the net. Middlesbrough are going to have a couple of players leaving. One of the big ones, obviously, and Josh, thank you so much for mentioning it, Senny Dieng, our goalkeeper, he's going to go. There's a big story here, lads, and I think it's going to come out one day. Senny Dieng, the rumors, and normally where there's smoke, there's fire, but Senny Dieng, obviously our number one goalkeeper under the Carrick regime, there was rumors of a fallout between him and Michael Carrick. Michael Carrick, after that rumors of fallout, rocked up to the next press conference with a big black eye. He had a big cut under his left eye. The rumors were that Senny Dieng had caused that cut. Not saying it's true. And then Senny Dieng then goes missing. He then is reported to have done a really bad Achilles or a bad foot injury. He's then out for about 12 months. He gets fit October of last year. Is still potentially our number one goalkeeper. Hasn't made the bench. Doesn't even get anywhere close to the first team. Has played a couple of sparse appearances out in the under-21. So there's something there with Senny Dieng, and I think we'll see him leave definitely for Middlesbrough. So for me, lads, it's a striker. If you're asking me who, it's a tough one because I'm not too, I haven't done my recruitment dive. But again, as I said, Asula at Newcastle United. I mean, Josh Sargent at Norwich City. These are the types of players that I'd be going for. Someone that is proven at championship level, that is known to get a goal or two. Even Patrick Bamford, that might be running out of time at Sheffield United. We'll have a see. Lads, over to you. Sunderland, a player in and a player out in this month, Teddy boy, in what's going to be interesting to see what Sunderland do to kind of lock in that Premier League place.
Big Nigel's absolutely nailed it there. We need a consistent striker. I think Brobby is a real workhorse. He's one of those buddies who can absolutely batter central defenders, but I just don't think he's the natural finisher that we need. I know they are so rare to find, which that's always going to be the problem. We have been linked with a couple. One of the names, I couldn't believe that we're even linked with him. I don't think it'll happen. I mentioned it last week's show, but it's nice that we are in conversations about this standard of play. But Harry Kane was mentioned as a potential target in January, which I think that's pie in the sky. I think that's sort of way off. But great that, why not a team in 7th place in the Premier League? It's not completely fantastical for the idea of him coming in. However, it'll be more likely somebody along the lines of Ricardo Pepi, who we've been heavily linked with, the PSV striker. The other one that's really interesting as well, and could work out as a key signing for us, is Kenan Yildiz, who plays in Juventus. He plays as more like a second striker or a winger, but can play up front as well. So I think that's the sort of player that we need. We need somebody who's a little bit diverse and where they can play across the front line. But we need a finisher, absolutely. In terms of players going out, Nigel's right. There's any amount of them that could. You even forget that we have Jan Paveda in there. It's just ridiculous that he's even still at the club. I think he's like third assistant kit man or something like that at the minute. But there's two. I'm going to cheat a little bit here, right? I can't give you just one because there's a lot that need to be moved on. Anthony Patterson, I think, will be moved on because I think we have cover there now, to be honest with you. So I think Anthony Patterson, by all accounts, possibly headed to Rangers up in the SPL. and Dan Neil. Obviously, he's coming to the end of his contract at the end of this season. Dan's got to go because if he isn't getting a game now, he ain't getting a game. Especially with the Guendouzi deal's very, very close to happening. So that's I think that's curtains for him now. Shame. Obviously, you like to see young local talent coming through, but Dan he's not going to make it at Premier League level. We have to be honest about that. Be a great signing for somebody like Borough. As a good squad player, but
not wrong.
That's where I think we are.
Steve, we'll come to you, mate. We need a Newcastle player that you want in or a position and someone you might like to see fill that role and someone that you think Newcastle need to move on or make, see the back of in this January transfer window.
I don't think we're going to have much to talk about as far as transfers are concerned. If you listen to what Eddie Howe said yesterday in his press conference, PRS got its usual mention. Newcastle don't have, those kind of funds to go out and break the bank. They're not looking to bring in a marquee signing. Newcastle being linked with the odd young player, but Eddie is happy with the squad that he's got when everybody's fit, and Sula's going nowhere permanently, as you've already alluded to. He would be open to looking to a move if it's going to be something that he's going to benefit from, but he's not looking for anyone to leave the club and not really looking for anybody coming in. I think if you ask Newcastle United supporters what they would like to see, I think top of the list at this moment in time with all of our strikers. Sula's obviously still recovering from injury, but you'd still like to see another striker. I think most people would like to see a creative midfielder. And Newcastle are going to have to start bringing in defenders. They're going to have to start looking at defenders and topping up that squad because we have got a lot of big name players who are coming to the end of their careers. We've got Fabian Shaw, Kieran Trippier, Emil Kraft, Dan Burn, who are all the wrong age, for the Premier League now. The Dan Burn, you'd probably squeeze another season out of him. Trippier, I think, will leave in the summer. I think we'll have no need for Emil Kraft anymore. So we need a left back, a right back, and two centre halves to come in. On fitness levels, we've got Tino, Hall, Botman and Chow, who are all the right age, but we need to start replacing them at the back. We do need another goalkeeper, but it's just we need to improve those positions at the right time. But I don't think we'll see much coming in or out at Newcastle, to be honest. I think the summer will be a different scenario. I think we'll see the likes of Trippier leave, Lascelles leave. There's a lot of people's contracts are up. The Vlachimidos situation will get sorted out. I don't believe that Eddie Howe is a fan of Vlachimidos, despite him saying he would like to come back to Newcastle. I think he will go. But I think there'll be lots of changes in the summer. But I think Eddie is confident that he can get the best out of the squad that he's got between now and May.
It's going to be a very interesting window, especially for all three teams in the Northeast. Newcastle still obviously in each one of those cups. They've got Carabao Cup, FA Cup, they've got Champions League as well. And we've seen how much injuries towards that defensive half can cripple Newcastle United. There was talks obviously of Matty Targett almost need to be recalled. So it's going to be interesting to see if they do recruit.
Lewis May has been superb. Has been superb, and he doesn't look out of place as a right back. It'll be interesting to see what he decides to do with Lewis May, because Lewis can play centre midfield. There's no doubt about it. But there's an opportunity there maybe for him to find another role. It'll be interesting to see what he does. And of course, we can't avoid the possibility, of course, of a big club coming in and tempting Newcastle with a sale. There are players that are on people's lists.
Gordon, Stevie, I've saw someone in the chat who said sell Gordon.
Well, I would say that Gordon is definitely somebody that Newcastle fans wouldn't be as up in arms as they would have been maybe a year ago. Gordon is really starting to frustrate fans, especially on the road with his lack of effort tracking back. But But I don't know. I think the main player is Tino Livramento. You know, he's Man City are clearly interested in him. The Botman interest by Liverpool seems to have died down now. But we have got good players who will always be susceptible to a big money transfer to another club. So be prepared, Newcastle fans. You know, maybe not in January, but certainly in the summer to be tested again.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's going to be very interesting. And as we said, very important for all three Northeast clubs.
Just on the subject of Miley, Steve, I mean, it's part of the modern fullbacks game now where they tend to tuck in a midfield position. Trey Hume does it really, really effectively. And I think because Lewis Miley has that centre midfield like upbringing and grounding, I think that's what makes him a really, really good modern day fullback. I think that's why he's actually filling in so well.
Yeah, and he doesn't give the ball away. I think that's the other thing. As a midfielder, he tends not to give the ball away, and I think that's a key. I think we have given the ball away too much. That's been our biggest downfall this year. The midfielders and some of the fullback players has been awful. And you know, when you give the ball away cheaply, you're putting yourself under pressure. Miley doesn't give the ball away, and he can put a tackle in. He's physically become bigger and better. But I agree with you. Yeah, I think there's scope there to develop him into a really good right back. I mean, there'll be conversations behind the scenes. I'm sure nobody would say to Lewis that's your position. I think he would make that decision up himself. But you know, he's given himself options now. You know, and he's certainly shown to Eddie that, you know, when the proverbial hits the fan, that he's willing to stick in and do something for the team, and that's a big asset to have as well.
You need that.
Some people say it's it's bad for players. I mean, Steve Watson probably, you know, he was one such player. Aaron Hughes is another one from the history books, you know, who was versatile. And sometimes versatile players play themselves out of the regular game in the team because literally they're there to plug the gaps, and they find that, you know, they don't get that opportunity to play on a regular basis. So it'd be interesting to see what he does with Lewis Miley. But credit to him, he's been superb.
Just leave Matty Targett with us, mate. That's all I ask, because he's been
Matty Targett's not a Premier League player anymore. I mean, I was one of Targett's biggest fans. I loved him when he came to us. I thought he was just as important as Trippier when he came to us to keep us up that season.
He's been absolutely fantastic at our level.
He got a bad injury, and he took a while to recover from it. Then he came back into the team, and then he got injured again, and then he was struggling with eczema as well. So he's had all kinds of problems at Newcastle, but I'll always thank him for what he did that season to keep us up.
Yeah, no, Matty Targett, Asula, and Miley off to the Borough. You heard it here first, that's for sure. Right, let's look forward, lads. We've got some fixtures to look forward to. Premier League are actually playing 2 this week. Can you believe it? Championship only 1. In unheard of scenes where you got 2 Premier League fixtures in the week, and Middlesbrough will only be playing once. Let's look forward and we'll get some predictions off the lads. Let's go to Middlesbrough first, who are taking on Southampton at home on Sunday. It is going to be a massive, massive game before we have a break before the FA Cup Fulham away game, which a lot of Borough fans are looking forward to, a Premier League tie against Fulham in the FA Cup third round. But Middlesbrough have Southampton at home. Southampton have got a new look on life under their new management, and Middlesbrough cannot score. It will look like it'll be a debut for Addison Malander, our new centre-back, who was signed in the summer and then loaned back to MLS. You would think he would slot straight in, pushing Matty Targett back out to his favoured left-back role, but time will tell. There were some significant injuries to Middlesbrough's squad over Derby County. Callum Britton, most notably our right back, hobbling off after that shocking challenge in the box. That wasn't a penalty. Jared Gillette, I've got you on the phone because I need you to start managing Middlesbrough games more, mate, because I know that you're the best referee that is out there. And Southampton are going to prove an absolute difficult test for Middlesbrough because we just can't score. And at the moment, that doesn't look like it's going to change with no forward lines coming in. Lads, Middlesbrough at home to Southampton. Teddy boy, I'm going to have to say, look, I'm going to cheekily say a 1-0 draw, a 1-0 victory to Middlesbrough just because we need to get back on track. We've had 80 shots in the past 4 games, 14 of those on target. We've averaged 87% possession in the last 4 games and still lost. We need a victory. It's got to start at some point, and I think Addison Malander will be a massive, massive asset being able to push Matty Targett back out. Teddy boy, Middlesbrough versus Southampton.
Yeah, I think you need to stop the rot, without a doubt. A goal is definitely something that's been cried out for. Southampton can be sketchy in defence, so I can see actually getting some joy out of this today. But like you say, it's not the creating chances that's the problem, is it? It's the actual taking of them. So yeah, a tough game, mate. It's a really difficult one to call.
Wrong, mate.
I think there will. I'm going to go score draw. I'm going to go for an unimpressive but much welcomed 1-1 draw.
Yeah, look, we take that as well. We're not scoring. Stevie Wraith, mate. Middlesbrough away to Southampton, not being able to hit a cow's backside.
Yeah, it's so difficult, isn't it? Really, when you get on a bit of a run like this.
Oh.
But yeah, I think a Middlesbrough draw with Southampton is probably the likely outcome. It's the travelling and stuff as well. It always plays a part. But I'll go for a draw to stop the rot.
Over to Newcastle United, where they sit pretty for this week. Newcastle fans, you don't have to go anywhere. You've got Crystal Palace coming and then followed up by Leeds United, a short trip for Leeds United fans up to Newcastle. 2 back-to-back home games, one against Crystal Palace with the new Brendan Johnson, in their wing, which is going to be interesting. Let's look at that one first. Teddy boy, I'll come to you again. For Newcastle versus Crystal Palace, I'm going to go Newcastle to win this one because they're at home. I think Crystal Palace is going to cause the bigger threat over Leeds United. I think Leeds United will dig in and they'll kick around. But Crystal Palace have also got themselves Brendan Johnson, who I think is a fantastic player. So it's going to be very interesting, especially what happens to Guehi as well, because it's going to be interesting. Guehi! What happens to him? Newcastle have been linked to him as well. Liverpool as well. Will he leave? Will he not? But how do you see Newcastle United versus Crystal Palace playing out, and Leeds United?
Against Palace, I can see a Geordie win there, to be honest, mate. Glasner even said in the end of the last game that the team were on survival mode and said they were fatigued, which that's not what you want to hear from your gaffer. Like, no. That's especially halfway point. It is a tiring time of year for the players, although they are getting well rewarded for it. Physically, it is, it has got an impact on them. I just can't see them having enough. Newcastle at home is a different animal to what they are away. So I can see quite a comfortable win. I'm going to go 3-1 Newcastle. I was close to what Roger Cook's just had there. I'm going to go 3-1 for Newcastle against Palace. Against Leeds, Leeds are tough. They'll give you a scrap. And I think it might be one of them where if they do to Newcastle what they did to us and get really, really physical and in their faces in the second half,
I think they will.
It's a little bit of a tougher game. I can honestly see Leeds coming away from there with a point. So I'm going to go for... Well, let's go for a Desmond. Let's have a high-scoring one. Let's go 2-2.
I did say a 2-0 victory, I think, to Newcastle against Crystal Palace, but against Leeds United, I'm going to go for 1-1 in that one. I just think Leeds United, with that Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who's getting rumoured of playing for bloody England, the form he's in at the moment, but the way Leeds United go about it, they are literally just yellow cards walking all around that pitch. Stevie, your lads, both home games, mate, this week. Crystal Palace first and Leeds United.
Yeah, I think Newcastle will win against Crystal Palace 3-1. I've seen Glasner's interview and it doesn't sound too good for them. They are missing players as well. And I think Newcastle will beat Leeds as well. I think it will be a tougher game, but I think we will 2-0 against Leeds like Tom Dixon does. So yeah, 2 wins for Newcastle to get us right back in the mix in the European slots.
We do have to talk about Sunderland, but lads, we don't. A team that obviously is part of the Northeast, but I'm not sure if there's any Hartlepool United fans in. Lads, they've been sold. Raj Singh is no longer the owner of Hartlepool United. I'm not sure if you saw this. We did speak about Hartlepool United a little bit when we're back on the radio show, but Raj Singh is no longer the owner, and we saw a couple of comments about this, about Americans coming in. Well, unfortunately, for that person in the chat that hates it, but it's another American billionaire that's come in and bought Hartlepool United in a massive takeover midweek. It does unlock BBC, who weren't able to commentate on the game through the fallout with Raj Singh.
Charlie Manson over Raj Singh.
It's literally the devil is gone from the doorstep, and Hartlepool United have a new owner. Just quickly, Steve, I mean, that is massive for Hartlepool United, who have just been falling under Raj.
Is it another American owner?
It is. It's an American billionaire, mate, that's come in and taken over. Yeah.
Why on earth would American owners buy lower league clubs unless there's a grand plan?
Thought he was in
Yeah.
Liverpool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's great for Hartlepool. I mean, Hartlepool is a great club. Got a lot of affection for that place. My old pal Joe Allen, of course, is a massive hero of the Hartlepool fans. I've been up and down there quite a few times. But yeah, look, great news. Any investment in a club that helps them get away from pariahs of the game, shall we say, is good news. So good luck to Hartlepool. But yeah, big news for them.
Teddy boy, you obviously touched on it just quickly, mate. Hartlepool United, American billionaires. We did see the rumours of Ryan Reynolds and that looking at Hartlepool United, but Raj Singh held on. He's now finally gone. Landon Smith, who is a real estate tycoon, they call him, out of America, the new owner of Hartlepool United.
Yeah, it's long overdue. That club's needed saving. Unfortunately, it came too late for the likes of Darlington, although Darlington is sort of re-going under a different guise these days. Raj Singh has essentially destroyed two football clubs in the northeast of England. Now that Radio Dad isn't here to vet me on this one, scumbag, get out of football. Fit and proper persons act my arse.
Yep, love it. And is there oil in Hartlepool? Let's quickly look.
I'll be the judge of that.
We're running on borrowed time. Sunderland fixtures. You've got 2 games this week. It's going to be a massive week. Tottenham away from home and Brentford away from home. Newcastle have 2 home games. Well, unfortunately, Sunderland fans, there's 2 away games in Tottenham and Brentford. A Thomas Frank affair for Sunderland fans this week. Let's look at Tottenham first. I'm going to say Sunderland take a 0-0 draw against Tottenham. I think they are digging in. They've still got the players away from AFCON. And then I think we look to Brentford, where we can see Sunderland maybe snicking 3 points there in what is going to be a 1-0. I'm not going for massive goals. I think the past 4 or 5 games, you've seen 1, maybe 2 goals, if max. But I'm not seeing Sunderland scoring a lot, especially without the likes of, of certain players because of AFCON. So I'm going to say a 0-0 draw for Tottenham and a 1-0 victory against Brentford at Teddy Mackens.
Well, I'm going to go with the legend that is Andy Cole, who has predicted Sunderland are going to do a smash and grab at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And I'm going to go 1-0 to Sunderland. I then think we will get a scrappy, nasty draw, Brentford. Let's go for a horrible 0-0 at Brentford.
0-0.
Bore draw.
Ugh. 2 away games for Sunderland. Stevie Wraith, Tottenham first, then Brentford, mate.
Is this the first time you played Spurs?
Yes. Yeah, so we've played Man City twice before we played Spurs once.
Yeah. This is the ridiculous thing because Unai Emery was kicking off about Villa having to play Arsenal twice when they hadn't played everybody in the Premier League. Yeah. So it's obviously just the way that it's weird. That's interesting. Spurs are Jekyll and Hyde. They can score goals. I think Spurs are gonna surprise Sunderland. I think this could be a bit of a tricky fixture, a trickier fixture than you expect. So I'm going to say 2-1 to Spurs, and the Brentford game. Yeah, that Brentford's awkward. Keith Andrews has got them really playing some bloody long throw times. I think that's got draw written all over it. I think that's a 0-0. I think that's a game. That's your last game on match of the day. But I think Spurs. I think Spurs will be the 2-1 win, and I genuinely think I think a 0-0 draw for the Brentford game.
It's going to be a very big week for all 3 Northeast teams. If you are going to any of the games, please travel safely. Newcastle fans, you don't have to travel too far. Sunderland fans, you'll be traveling a little bit. And Middlesbrough fans, we're at home just for the 1 game in a Premier League 2-game week. Can you believe it? Then it's on to the FA Cup. But we will be back next week to preview all the FA Cup action and look back at the results that were. I have been right. That has been Ted. That has been Steve Ray. Thank you so much for everyone. Each and every one of you that has been tuning in on whatever platform you choose to tune in and to our beautiful little podcast. We appreciate you. It's a massive 2026 from us. Looking ahead, Three's a Crowd is not going anywhere. We're excited to bring you more and more content every weekend right here. So make sure you consider subscribing. Stevie, have a good day, mate. And to you, Teddy Boy, as well.
See you later, buddy. See you, lads.
Take care, everybody. It's bye from Three's a Crowd. See you next weekend.
Three's a Crowd podcast will return. That's not a threat. It's a promise.